Before we begin this lesson, I have a quick question for you. Which of these hills will be difficult to climb? You will agree with me that it is the second hill. The reason the second hill is more difficult is that the higher you go doesn't guarantee the more the distance you cover. Hence, the second hill is said to be slopier than the first. This leads us to slope, otherwise known as gradient in mathematics. The gradient or slope is the rate of change in y with respect to x on the Cartesian plane. In simple terms, it is a measure of an increase or decrease in y by an increase in x. Given any straight line on the Cartesian plane, we pick any 2 points on the line and check for the increase in x and its corresponding increase or decrease in y. So, for this line, an increase in x yields an increase in y. Hence, the gradient m is given by the increase in y over the increase in x. Whenever this happens, the gradient is positive. In some other instances, if an increase in x yields a decrease in y, the gradient m will be equal to decrease in y over increase in x. In this case, the gradient is negative. So, if we have line AB, picking any 2 points C and D with coordinates x1, y1 and x2, y2 respectively, the increase in x is the difference between the x coordinates of points C and D, while the increase or decrease in y is the difference between the coordinates of points C and D on the y-axis. Therefore, m is either equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 or y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. You must always note that the coordinates of the points must correspond. That is, m cannot be equal to y2 minus y1 over x1 minus x2. Another concept that can be explored from gradients is the angle of inclination. The angle of inclination is the angle the line makes with the x-axis. Interestingly, the angle of inclination is the same between any 2 points on the line. Whenever the gradient is positive, the angle of inclination is positive. And when the gradient is negative, the angle of inclination is also negative. This is due to the fact that y is decreasing. Let's take a look at some lines and calculate their gradients. Find the gradients of lines 1 and 2 in this Cartesian plane. We begin by locating 2 points on each of the lines, say points A, B, C, and D. Points A and B have coordinates -1, -1, and 3, 2, respectively. We simply substitute the corresponding coordinates into the formula for gradient. Hence, gradient is equal to 2 minus -1 over 3 minus -1. The gradient is equal to 2 plus 1 over 3 plus 1, which is 3 over 4. The coordinates of points C and D are -4, 3, and -1, 1, respectively. The gradient is equal to 3 minus 1 over -4 minus -1, which is equal to 2 over -4 plus 1. Working this out, the gradient is equal to -2 over 3. In summary, the gradient is the rate of change in the y-axis with respect to the x-axis. Also, the angle of inclination is the angle the line makes with the x-axis.